Want to know what's going on in Belvedere, Illinois, or around the world? Then tune to BNNSradio.com on your computer or your mobile device and give us a listen. That's BNNSradio.com. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and guest do not necessarily reflect those of this station, the station's network, any other affiliates under this network, or its sponsors. Unless they do, and then we'll totally take credit for them, because this is radio, and that's how we roll.
Here we go.
News, sports, comedy, politics, everything you would expect in a morning show. Faster than the fastest nightmare, brighter than the dullest dream.
Right here.
Right now. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill. Grab your coffee and hang on. For the next 2 hours, the unexpected will haunt you, entertain you, and drive you absolutely insane. So let's get started. Here's Uncle Bill.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Welcome and welcome. Hey, it's Wednesday. It's the 30th day of August, and another month just about shot. And guess what? The end of summer is around the corner. It's almost over, folks. And, of course, this weekend coming up is our Labor Day weekend, and that's the sign. It's all over. Prepare for winter. Boy, aren't I a good I'm a good encourager for what's to come up. At least maybe it'll put an end to all this rain and crap that's going on. Of course, we're still in the hurricane season, and I understand there is another hurricane forming off the East Coast and may strike the lands of on the East Coast of the United States. And we were, during lunch yesterday, we were watching from the TV at the place where we were eating, and we were watching some of the coverage of the hurricane that keeps striking and restriking and striking Houston. And it's almost unimaginable what goes through one's mind, sitting safely up here in north central Illinois and Georgia and Omaha and different places. It's almost unimaginable to us what those people are going through down there. And our hearts and prayers go out to them for whatever lies ahead. And that's up to God, what lies ahead. So, coming up on this edition of the morning show, we have a couple things. I want to give some kudos out to our local law enforcement with the cooperation with some other agencies as well. And I want to just spend a couple minutes on a news release or a press release I got from them. But I want to give kudos to the Belvedere Police and County Police and so forth. And we have a couple other interesting stories. Bruce will be calling in this morning about 8:30 and talk about the Appalachia fundraiser coming up in soon. And then we will cover a couple things. I have a what would you do scenario for you this morning. All that and more coming up on this edition of the morning show.
In the town where I was raised, the clock ticks and the cattle graze. Time passed with amazing grace back where I come from. Now you can lie on a riverbank or paint your name on a water tank or miscount all the beers you drank back where I come from. Back where I come from, where I'll be when it's said and done. And I'm proud as anyone, that's where I come from. Sunday school, who made the sunshine through. I know who made the moonshine too, back where I come from. Blue eyes on a Saturday night, tan legs in the broad daylight. TVs, they were black and white, back where I come from. Back where I come from, where I'll be when it's said and done. Well, I'm proud as anyone, that's where I come Some say it's a backward place, narrow minds on the narrow way. But I make it a point to say that's where I come from. That's where I come from, where I'll be when it's said and done. Well, I'm proud as anyone, that's where I come from. Back where I come from, I'm an old Tennessean. I'm proud as anyone, that's where I come
All right, we are back here live.
Uncle Bill would like to apologize in advance for whatever he may say tomorrow. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill on BNNS Radio.
All right, we are rip-roaring and ready to go. Rip-roaring and ready to go here on the Morning Show with Uncle Bill. And laying in the shadows, we have our co-host and our research team ready to go as well. And I'm going to get right to business this morning because we have Bruce calling in at 8:30. But before we do that,
Big D, co-host on The Morning Show with Uncle Bill, right here on BNNS Radio. You'll wonder how you ever got along without him.
Good morning, Uncle Bill.
Good morning, Big D. How are you?
I am good this morning. I'm having a riot. You know, we read a lot of these news stories that come out. Do you ever go read the comment section?
Oh, absolutely.
Some of these folks, for a while it was very ugly, very dark. Now they're just funny.
Well, it reinforces exactly what I said yesterday, that there are hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people out there that think exactly the same way you and I and Craig and everybody else on our team.
Yeah.
And everything that we've been saying for the last 6 months, year, 2 years, they feel exactly the same way. They love what Trump's doing and so on and so forth. They don't love everything, but, you know, he's doing a great job and, you know, and so forth. And they feel exactly the same way we do, and they express themselves very emotionally in the comment sections. And yeah, granted, some of it's funny, some of it's rude, some of it is totally innocuous, but it's it just, to me, it reinforces everything that we say.
It is, yeah, great. I like the way that worked out. It's rude. It's obnoxious. It reinforces what we said. I'm sorry, Bill. You could take that. No, I was just reading a story during the opening music. Defense Secretary Mattis halts Trump's transgender ban until this happens. Now, that's, and a lot of people in the comment section picked up on this. That's a very misleading headline. Because he has not halted the transgender ban. He's just trying to figure out what they're going to do with the ones that are already in the military. That's it. That's all he's doing. He's not undermining Trump. They're just trying to figure out what to do with people who are already in the military. Now, regardless of how we feel about transgender, Bill, if you've got somebody in there that's doing a really super job, has gotten glowing reviews, and he's already in the job, do you just say, oh, you're out of here? What do you do? I can see what Mattis is doing. But he's not undermining Trump. And that's the problem with the media now. This is a story by a guy by the name of Carlos Garcia. And I've noticed his name on a lot of things. And he does this very misleading, in his headlines. So it's no wonder people are confused. But anyway, just a little something to start the show with.
That's it?
Yeah, I said just a little something to start the show with.
Okay.
Thought I'd get your blood boiling there a little bit.
Joining us also from the other side of, right here in the Midwest as well, not too far to my west, is our crack research team. Craig. Good morning, Craig.
Morning.
How are you this morning?
Same old, same old. You guys?
We drew him to the dark side.
What?
We drew him to the dark side.
Is the squeaky toy put away?
Well, she's sleeping with it under her chin.
Craig was playing with a squeaky toy this morning.
Craig was not.
He was chewing on his squeaky toy when we pulled him into the show. And anyway,
I let the outside dogs in this morning because we're having something delivered, and right away she picked up the squeaky toy and was running around the house.
Oh, come on! We tried to tell you.
Yeah. You know, everybody's got a story to tell.
We tried to tell him that rubber ducky was for the bathtub. Do you honestly? I honestly know 3 people that have rubber duckies in their bathtub.
You for one.
No, I don't. I don't have a rubber ducky. I've got a purple octopus, you know, from that cartoon years ago. Squidly. God,
you know, I just can't picture you in a bathtub.
Oh, I
don't want to either.
Yeah, don't. We can't scrub. We can't scrub. You can scrub dirt off your hands, but you can't scrub that picture out of your mind.
I don't think they make the only bathtub you could fit into is a horse trough.
Well, I can get in the bathtub. I've only got 3 cups of water in it, though.
You know, I remember you speak of that. You know, we talk about being wasteful. And Craig, I don't know if they did this when you came into the family, but I remember growing up as a little boy when it was time for our weekly bath, there was only about 4 inches of water, if that, in the bathtub. You didn't fill the bathtub up to your waist or up to your armpits and soak in the bathtub. And you just didn't waste water like that. And sometimes you weren't even the only one to use it. Now, when we went to Grandma's house, when Mom and Dad would go away and we would be taken to Grandma's house, and she would do babysitting over the weekend, and if we took a bath, it was in a wash tub. She set the wash tub down in the middle of the kitchen. She filled it with hot water from the stove, and then she put well water in it from the bucket to make it, suitable to sit in. And it was one kid after another. You sat in that tub, washed, you got up, dried off, threw some clothes on. The next kid came, got in the same water, and I always pitied the last kid that got that water because,
it was
Bill,
cold.
you just gave me a huge flashback. I remember sitting in Grandma's kitchen.
Absolutely.
My two sisters and I it had been raining, and we went out and played in the ditch there alongside the road with the board going over it.
Yep.
We had played in that water, and when we were done, we came in and we sat in that wash tub. I remember Grandma pouring water from the stove down my back, and the water was not clear. I mean, the water in the tub. I must not have been the first one in there because it was soapy, and dark. And I remember being embarrassed that I had to take a bath in the middle of the kitchen, and the kitchen was a kitchen/dining room. And I remember being embarrassed that I had to be buck naked.
Well,
and
Peggy
wash off.
Peggy clarified that, and I remember now that Grandma would hang a blanket on the doorway between the kitchen and the dining room, and so you did have some privacy.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
of course, I'd have been very young, Bill.
Yeah, she hung a blanket up. It wasn't that everybody in the household could watch you. She respected your privacy.
Well, I might have been too young she wouldn't have worried about.
You probably didn't even realize what privacy was back in when we did that, because I remember my sisters running around in underwear and things of that nature, not to try to embarrass anybody, but it was seeing somebody in the family in their underwear was no big deal.
Well, no, you didn't look at it the same way. I was the same way with my sisters. You don't look at it the same way. They're your family.
Right.
Boy, that was a fond flashback. I'm glad you mentioned that, Bill.
Hey, while you guys were talking about that, I remember hearing a woman on TV years ago. How many babies have been given baths in kitchen sinks?
I was.
Yeah.
Both of my kids were.
Yeah, but you think about that, and you think how many dishes were washed in that sink after you had a poopy kid washed in your kitchen sink.
Yeah.
I use soap.
Never, ever think about stuff like that, Bill. That's like wondering what's in potted meat.
I've got photograph of me in the sink in your mom's sink, Bill.
Yep.
I've got a black and white photo of me buck naked, just a month or two old, probably my first bath. And I know that when I had my kids, my mom made it a point to do the same thing and get photos of my kids in a kitchen sink.
Absolutely.
But here's what I remember about this woman on TV. She wanted to make it illegal to wash babies in kitchen sinks.
Well, yeah, because of the supposed safety factor.
You know what her concern was? What if somebody turns on the garbage disposal?
Oh,
we didn't have garbage disposals back in. The garbage disposal was 4 legs and a whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yep.
Down below your feet.
No, I understand that, but this was back when people were starting to get garbage disposal, and her thing was, you're washing your baby in the kitchen sink. What happens if somebody...
And you're putting your kid's foot down the hole.
What? Yeah. Now, first of all, every baby I've ever seen washed in a kitchen sink has been at least 2 inches of water, which means that the hole has to be stopped up.
Well, and very seldom did they wash them in the side that had the garbage disposal anyway. It was on the other side of the sink.
And could you imagine, Mom, if you reach for that switch She will claw your eyes out. Good God. You know, some people just, I don't think they really think before they speak. I mean, we've seen this all of our lives. It's just really becoming crystal clear now. I
think, in defense, in somewhat of a defense, I think people like that have good intentions, and for the safety of the child, because we do know that accidents do happen.
Yeah.
And I think their intentions are good, but I don't think it requires legislation. I don't think it requires laws. I don't think it requires rules. It just it requires some good common sense and possibly some education. And I've always been an advocate that before people have babies, they should go to class and learn how to be proper parents. Problem being, there would be finding good teachers that had good common sense.
Well, no, Bill, that can't work.
It's like the rules of the road for driving an automobile. You have to take and read a book and take a test before you can drive an automobile. What would be the harm of giving prospective parents a book and have them take a test on proper parenting? And now you can't force it upon them. You can't give them a license to have a baby, but at least you're making an attempt to educate. And same thing with marriage. I think every couple that plans on getting married should go through a training session on how to have a successful marriage.
No.
Or at least, the semblance of what makes a good marriage. And how do you get through arguments? How do you get through disagreements? And how do you get through budgeting? And how do you get through hardships and different things of that nature? I don't see any harm with educating people, but we'll throw our kid out there in society at the age of 18, let him go, and let him go off and find a guy and let him get married with no education. And they took it out of school. They don't teach it in school anymore. They used to have home ec, and they don't have that anymore. I remember home ec when I went to school. You had to learn how to cook and sew and do different things like that, but you don't do that anymore. So we're throwing kids into a society that doesn't know poo-poo about life. We're more concerned about history. We're more concerned. We're not even concerned about handwriting anymore. Have you seen the handwriting of some of these kids coming out of school today?
Oh, atrocious.
I mean, what are we concentrating on in schools today? I don't know, because kids can't add, they can't subtract without a calculator, they can't write, they can't read. Well, that's most of them can probably read to some extent. But they can't speak Spanish or they can't speak English, I can find all kinds of things that they can't do coming out of school that we used to do. But don't get me on that rant, because that's another whole show, and I want to move on here, and because I want to get through these things that I can't come up today, because I think they send I think they sent, and the one story that we talked about earlier is a prime example of what we're talking about. Right now in Belvedere, it is 57 degrees under moderate foggy conditions. When I drove in this morning, it was foggy outside, and it wasn't fogged in. You could still see, but there was foggy conditions, and I'm sure it was worse out in the county. But the winds are calm, and today they're expecting it to remain kind of hazy throughout the day with a high temperature of 79 degrees. There's no chance of any rain until Sunday. And then that possibility is only a 30% chance, but the entire Labor Day weekend looks to be absolutely gorgeous. And as they said on the news last night, the weather man said last night, we have really lucked out this year with holidays, because every holiday that we've had this year, the weather has turned out to be perfect. And this year at the Boone County Fair, when we were out there for the Lions Club, we had absolutely perfect fair weather. I mean, it was the best fair weather that we have, not 1 ounce of rain and no high winds, no hazardous. It was an absolutely perfect late summer, type weather. It was absolutely beautiful. Moving on. Burglary investigation leads to the arrest of 5 juveniles for multiple counts of burglary and possessions of stolen motor vehicles. Now, I want to give a shout out and a kudos to all the Belvedere law enforcement and Boone County law enforcement, as well as law enforcement agencies from other jurisdictions, one being Chicago. Now, normally I wouldn't give kudos to Chicago police officers because, well, they've just got too darn many murders in Chicago for me to respect. But that, again, it's not the law enforcement officer. Maybe it's leadership. Maybe it's the mayor. I don't know. Mayor of Chicago sucks, but that's irrelevant. In this instance, they worked very well together with our local law enforcement. Law enforcement agencies throughout northern Illinois, extending up to southern Wisconsin, have been investigating what is believed to be multiple groups of criminals who drive stolen vehicles from the Chicago area to their communities, meaning Belvedere, Boone County, southern Wisconsin, so on and so forth, primarily targeting vehicles, stealing at will, and when they locate a vehicle with the keys in it, they steal that vehicle and drive it back to the Chicago area. Now, I cannot believe, truly, I cannot believe that people still leave keys in their car. In this day and age, who in their right mind, well, there's the answer, who in their right mind would leave their keys in their vehicle? But they do. Over the last several months, there have been a coordinated effort to share information amongst the investigating agencies in an attempt to identify any patterns or develop any suspects. On August 23rd, the Belvedere Police Department was contacted by several residents reporting car burglaries in progress. Kudos to those residents for taking notice and doing something. Hang on. Hung up. I don't know who it was. Belvedere patrol officers and Boone County Sheriff's deputies had blanketed several areas on the south side of Belvedere in an attempt to locate and apprehend the offenders. Officers and deputies located several subjects near East Avenue and Elmwood Avenue that they suspected were responsible for the car burglaries. The suspects immediately fled the area in 2 different vehicles, both which had been stolen. One out of Belvedere and the other out of Chicago. Belvedere officers and Boone County deputies began a vehicle pursuit in an attempt to apprehend the offenders. Belvedere Police and Boone County Sheriff's deputies coordinated a response, anticipating the offenders would go east toward Chicago on the I-90 tollway. As both vehicles entered the I-90 on-ramp, sheriff's deputies deployed spike strips and successfully punctured the tires of both vehicles, ending the vehicle pursuit. The offenders then fled on foot, and officers and deputies apprehended 2 offenders immediately, and the rest fled in various directions. The Belvedere Police K-9 team apprehended one of the suspects hiding in a nearby field, and another was located walking on I-90. The remaining suspect was apprehended with the assistance of a Good Samaritan who informed law enforcement of the final offender's location. Belvedere police and sheriff's deputies began to get numerous calls from victims throughout Boone County regarding their vehicles having been burglarized, and throughout their investigation, they located approximately 20 to 25 vehicles that had been burglarized in the Belvedere-Boone County area. Belvedere and Boone County detectives were contacted and began interviewing witnesses and victims as well as collecting evidence. Many of the stolen items have yet to be claimed, so they're asking people, if you have had any burglaries to your vehicles recently and you did not report it, or even if you did report it, please contact the police department and they will see if they have your property. Detectives reviewed the case with the Boone County State's Attorney's Office and Boone County Juvenile Probation Department. The investigation is ongoing and additional charges are possible.
You have a text message.
So with that in mind, I want to shout out to the Belvedere Police Department, Boone County authorities, Chicago authorities, and the other coordinating departments around the country for a marvelous, wonderful, excellent job of apprehending these juvenile criminals from the Chicago area. And, and that's what I think is happening here quite a bit lately, is that these offenses are taking place.
You have a text message.
Come on. Give me a break.
You have a text message.
Dee, go ahead.
As, like Bill said, we'd like to thank all the law enforcement in and around the Belvedere area for the job they did. I mean, folks, it's a hard job. It's easy for criminals to commit crimes. It's hard for the cops to arrest them. And I'm glad that we have people out there who still want the job. Given all the things that are going down, it's, I haven't heard of any drops in. Craig, have you heard of anybody having trouble hiring people to be police officers?
No, there's a line of people in Omaha.
I mean, there are people, and I'm really waiting. I'm waiting to hear a story about a police officer found, one of these groups infiltrated a police department and was letting criminals go and all this stuff. I'm kind of waiting to hear that.
I wish the media would shame these people instead of just reporting. Once they're convicted, call them pond scum. Call them the lowlife that they are.
Well, I agree. I mean, the problem is that we've got people who will jump on a bandwagon and want to be trendy and it's just misunderstood. It's not misunderstood.
Well, they also have people though that they use the word criminal as I've been in prison. I'm tough. I'm a criminal. I'm
status.
Tough.
Yeah, it's street cred.
Yeah, it's instead of your pond scum, your low life.
I don't understand where they seem to think. I mean, the only people really that has street cred with are gangs. And that's what amazes me is when a gang member goes to prison. His homies don't come visit him. His homies don't send him money. His homies don't do a damn thing. But as soon as he gets out, he's expected to take up ranks again. So, well, did you finally get your text messages answered?
Yeah, I got it all straightened out here. We're gonna change up tune here, and again, I want to give a final kudo to the police. And I heard your comments, and they're well made, and just a wonderful kudos to the Belvedere Police for rounding up these juveniles. And,
absolutely,
and hopefully we'll get some future criminals off the street and taken care of. We have on the line with us right now we have joining us from Belvedere here is Bruce Polder. And as you know, we've had Bruce on before, and he annually takes a trip to the Appalachian Mountains and does a mission trip down there. And he's here to talk about that a little bit this morning and let us know what's going on. And so we welcome to the morning show right now Mr. Bruce Polder. Good morning, Bruce.
Hey, Bill, I don't know if you can hear it, but the music is so loud I can't hear you.
What music?
There's some country music in the background.
No. I don't know of any music playing, to be honest with you.
My son. Sorry, I can't hear a thing. Maybe I can give you a call right back.
Just hang on a second. Is there any music going on now? Are you there, Bruce? Well, I guess Bruce is going to have to call back.
Bill, I think he was talking about there's music on his end, not yours.
Oh, okay. Because I don't have any music playing.
No, you could hear in the background it was making him cut out.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, yeah, Diane said, oh, by the way, Diane's in the chat box this morning, and while we wait for Bruce to call back, just want to... Hang on.
Oh, why Bill answers the phone. That's going to be Bruce calling back. This is live radio, folks. Sometimes we have these problems. Hang in there with us. He's working on it. He's about got it. He's putting his headphones... No, he's not. I thought he was putting his headphones back on. Oh, by the way, Craig. Oh, nope, he's putting his headphones back on. Never mind.
Bruce, are you with us?
I sure am.
No music now.
No music.
All right. Well, again, we welcome Bruce Polder to the show today, and along with Jessica, and I don't even know if I want to know how to try to pronounce that last name.
It's Allossary.
Allossary? Well,
Allossary. Allosssery.
Allossary.
Allossary.
Allossary. Jessica Allossary. Let me give you just a brief little history on before Bruce talks here. That's going to be doing a show with Jessica and who she is, and because she's unable to call in, so Jessica is a free-spirited indie songstress, life lover, and YouTuber from London, Canada. She was inspired to pick up the guitar 9 years ago by watching YouTube videos and began teaching herself and writing original songs and uploading videos shortly after. Her sweet voice and genuine spirit have attracted a loyal audience and a community of dedicated followers and supporters from around the globe. She has had 6.5 million views on YouTube and 65,000 social followers, and has toured Brazil and Germany. By releasing YouTube videos regularly, she caught international attention as a soulful musician and a DIY artist. From landing her songs in global ad campaigns to producing her own music videos to getting radio airplay, she's flourished through plenty of hard work and dedication. One song at a time, she is healing hearts through honest and thoughtful lyrics, and is helping the world feel things with her acoustic guitar and stripped-down vocals. She's certainly a musician to keep an eye on as she continually inspires others through her genuine passion and kindness that shines through each and every song. Bruce, tell us a little more about this show, this production that you're going to be doing over in the Appalachian Mountains this year.
Well, it's really all for fundraising for a trip that the high school youth take in the summer to do mission work in the Appalachian Mountains. They work on houses, they work on properties, they help people that are in a pretty dire straits. Part of the program is the help they do and the construction they do. Part of the program is the connections they make with the families, and part of that program is when they come back to Belvedere. They use those skills and those ideas to help people locally, like through Habitat and through some other mission work.
Yes. And what part do you play in that, sir?
Well, not a whole lot, because my wife, Cindy, is the one who really kind of runs the ASP show, and she organizes it. To tell you the truth, the ASP project, that week in the summer, if I went, it would kill me, because it's brutal. They sleep on cots. They use hoses for showers, and they're under trailers. The conditions are incredible, and it's so funny because when they come back to a person, they all can't wait to go back the next year. So it's an incredibly meaningful project and infectious mission work. And my wife is the one who does it. I'm just the one who connected with Jessica Alastri, and she agreed to do this concert for us. And I've got a few fundraiser projects for ASP as well. So I'm glad to do whatever I can.
Yeah, we just had a couple of our gals from our church go to Haiti, and they went on a medical missionary trip to Haiti and spent well over a week there and doing medical things. And they just spoke last Sunday and told of their mission trip and some of the conditions that they had to endure. Of course, this isn't the way it is out in the Appalachians, but some of the conditions they had to encounter was brutal. And one has to ask the question, why in, well, I can't say in God's name, because that's why you do it in the first place, but you just have to say, why would you put yourself through this? When you're only going to be there 3-4 days doing medical help and really what goes on beyond that point. So you got to give a lot of credit to these kids that go out and work their tails off and to help these other people and live under some brutal conditions. Now, I understand, well, first of all, before I get there, how did you connect up with Jessica?
Well, she's getting to be a little more famous, and a friend of mine, Mary Holsker, asked me, she sent me a link to one of her songs, and I really liked the song, I liked the message. So I just contacted her through her website, and lo and behold, she contacted me back. And we've had a dialogue over the last 3 or 4 months now, and we've actually become good friends, and I see us continue that friendship for a long time. She's really she's very accessible. I mean, she won new indie song of the year, indie artist of the year last year from Sirius Radio. She won best indie song, and she's really moving fast up the charts. And she's in the middle of a U.S. tour right now. Actually, she's probably at the end of her U.S. tour. She's in California right now. She comes back to Iowa on Thursday, and she'll be in Belvedere on Saturday, and we'll have our concert Saturday night.
Any chance of you guys recording a duet?
Well, I've got a studio in my house, and I've already talked to her about the fact that we might want to record something, so you never know. That would be a dream come true. We'll just have to see what happens.
Well, we're going to have to get one set up. You're going to do a fundraiser now at the United Methodist Church on at 7 p.m. on Saturday, September 2nd. The cost of that event is $10 per person. And they're going to have baked goods, and doors will open at 6 p.m. And I'm sure that afterwards they'll have an opportunity to talk to Jessica and share some moments with her.
Yeah, she's real big about that. In fact, we do a break in the middle of the concert just so she can spend some time out with the people. And normally these tickets can go anywhere from $40 to $100, and we're doing it for $10 a piece. So it's really a reasonable price. Then, if you guys know church cook bakers, they can bake some of the finest stuff in the world, and so there's going to be those kind of products available. And it won't be for sale; it'll just be for donation. Whatever you want to give, the kids can use it. These kids that go on ASP, they have to. Each one of those kids has to come up with $600 a piece in order just to go. So this is one of those things that helps supplement that money.
Yeah, and I respect that because it really gives the kids a new appreciation for what they're really doing. It's not just a fun ride and a free ride, and they get a chance to go play someplace else. And they got to work to get there, and which shows their dedication and desire to do this, because there's nobody forcing them to do this, and they have to work hard to raise those funds. I mean, and that's not easy to come by these days.
Well, $600 for a high school kid, that's quite something. And they basically do have to work for it. Most, the parents don't just come up with the money; they have to work for it.
Just think, just think for $600 they could buy a good pair of brand shoes, Jordan shoes or something,
Or in the world we live in now, maybe a really good phone. Some device. They come home at the end of this, and they do a church service that's just amazing. You can just feel what they feel and what they experience. It's quite an experience.
Now, this concert that you're going to be putting on and is a fundraiser for the is a fundraiser for the church, or is it to go to the Appalachia Project?
Well, it does both, because the church collects the money, but if you take 30 kids, then you've got to send them about $2,000. Actually, that's more than that. You have to send about $20,000. So you got $600 a kid times 30. So my math skills aren't as good as they used to be. But anyway, they send the money right on to ASP for the fees for each one of the kids. So there's hardly ever, in fact, the money that you can't imagine how much it costs to take 6 vehicles, and even though fuel is not that bad right now, it's quite expensive to get 6 vans and a trailer down the Appalachia and back.
Oh yeah. Plus you got your fun housing, and there's all kinds of things that you got to consider that people don't really think about, and they think $600, you're just going to go down there and work. What do you need $600 for, and stuff like that. So. And
that $600 goes to pay for, that really goes almost 100% to pay for materials.
Yeah.
And then there's only, I think the administrative costs at ASP are less than 10%. So
wow.
They do a pretty good job of it.
Well, now this concert, it's open to the public, and do you have to buy your tickets in advance for space purposes, or is it just the door's open and you come in and buy a ticket?
Yeah, the door. You can buy tickets right at the door. We've got room for a couple hundred, and I believe I think we'll get a pretty good crowd. We're going to open the doors at 6, though, to give people a chance to have dessert and relax and have some fellowship before the concert.
Well, that's great. We'd love to see her, and we'll spread the word around here at First Pres, and we'll try to get some people over there and share some time with you. And you've always been a great supporter of First Pres, and you've always been good down here at our church. You've been good here at the radio station, and we're more than happy to promote this for you, and we'll continue to promote it throughout the week, and hopefully we'll get a good turnout for you.
Well, I really appreciate it, Bill. And likewise, you've always been very supportive of what I've done musically and what our church is doing. It's kind of a neat thing when churches can cooperate together to help fund really good causes. So now, I appreciate it. I'm very, very pleased.
Now, does Jessica have albums? Has she got some CDs that she has cut that's going to be available to purchase at the concert?
Absolutely. She has really all kinds of merchandise. In fact, her merchandise is kind of how she makes her money. What she makes at the concert is almost nothing, but she can make a profit at it when she sells a CD or two. So she'll have all her CDs. She might even have a shirt or some other things for sale, and she also has her CDs of it. I think you can buy it download it on Amazon, Spotify. You name it, I think she's out there. She's got several CDs available.
Well, if you would do me a favor, because I'm tied up over the weekend because I've got a lot of stuff coming up next week. And if you could do me a favor and pick up her most popular, top-selling CD, pick one up for me and drop it off here at the church, and I'll see that you get the money for it. I'm not asking you to buy it for me, but if you'll get me one, I'll make sure that you get refunded or paid, and because I would love to have one on file here, and we can play her music if it wouldn't be violating her copyright. But
no, I think that she basically writes most all of her music. So, and whatever she doesn't write, she has the mechanical rights for. So we're good.
Well, if you'd do that for me, I'd appreciate it, because I would like to promote her, as much as I can. And if you have any of those albums and you can get one to me, I can, play it ahead of time. So,
sure. I'll tell you what I'll do today is I'll send you a link to a couple of her more popular songs, and then I'll get you a CD.
All right. If you can send that out, we'll maybe end the show with one today.
That would be great.
All right. Well, we'll pull it up. And Bruce, I want to again thank you for coming on and giving us an opportunity to help you promote this most worthy cause. And we've done this for the last, 3-4 years now. Help you push your Appalachia trip and to help these kids get out and learn what it's like, and that people don't always live as comfortable as we do.
That's for sure.
Well, God bless you, and God bless your team, and I wish you a very successful concert, which I'm sure it will. And thanks for coming on and letting us know so we can promote this for you.
Thanks, Bill. I hope all your listeners had a chance to be there. I think it'll be a great night, and we're looking forward to seeing you.
All right, Bruce. Thanks a lot. We appreciate your sharing all that with us.
Thank you, Bill.
And tell Becca or Jessica that we are sorry that things didn't work out for us to link up, but she'll be in our prayers for what she's doing across the country and helping you guys out with your fundraiser.
All right, I will. I'll let her know.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bill.
Have a great day, sir. Bye-bye.
You too.
Again, that was Bruce Poulter from the United Methodist Church, who is doing a fundraiser in the Appalachia Mountain region and promoting. And this is the one thing that I really, really like about promoting this program is simply because this isn't just a free ride for these kids. And these kids have got to go out and work, and they go out and rebuild houses, paint houses, and all that kind of stuff. And it really, really opens their eyes, like I said, to the fact that not everybody lives as nice and comfortable as we do. And the one thing I like about it is they're staying right here in the U.S. and helping U.S. people, and certainly the people down in the Appalachia regions. And I'm sure that Big D can attest to that, that area of our country does need some help. So we wish them luck. And again, that is Jessica Alasari and Bruce Poulter doing a fundraising show at the First United Methodist Church here in Belvidere, Illinois, 610 Bonus Avenue, Belvidere, on Saturday, September 2nd at 7 p.m., doors opening at 6 p.m., and tickets are only $10. And where can you go today for a full concert for just $10? And besides, you get some of those church lady treats. And, Ben, there is nothing greater than the little old lady church lady treats. And I shouldn't have said little old lady, but the church lady treats. All right, with that in hand, and we'll check our email here shortly, and Bruce will send us a link, and maybe we'll end the show with a song from Jessica to give you an idea what you have in store for you. And that being said, we'll be back right after this break. Time to go get a fresh cup of coffee, folks. We'll be right back.
on the radio dial. The fire got lit inside a bright-eyed child. Every note just wrapped around his soul. From steel guitars to Memphis, all the way to rock and roll. Where I used to wander, old enough to get there, but too young to get inside. So I would stand out on the sidewalk, listen to the music playing every Friday night. Oh, I can hear 'em playing, I can hear the ringing of a beat-up guitar. Some dreams stay with you forever, drag you around and bring you back to where you were. Some dreams keep on getting better. You gotta keep believing if you wanna know for sure. Oh, I can hear 'em playing, I can hear the ringing of a beat-up guitar.
Well, yeah, we won't hide the truth. We tell it like it is. You can say you heard it on BNNS Radio and they'll be impressed. That's BNNSradio.com. The best of the best on the internet. BNNSradio.com.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, chug, chug, chug. If this is how your car is sounding, you need to call 815-544-0537. That's right, my friends. Belvedere Auto Clinic, located 301 West Locust Street, Belvedere, Illinois. Call and ask for Tom. He can make your car run like new. That's right. Belvedere's best-kept little secret is Belvedere Auto Clinic. You need to call today, 815-544-0537. Come on, do it now.
Is there anything we won't do? Well, yeah, we won't hide the truth. We tell it like it is. You can say you heard it on BNNS Radio and they'll be impressed. That's BNNSradio.com. The best of the best on the internet. BNNSradio.com.
Binge drinking, a common and dangerous behavior for all ages, is defined as 4 or more drinks for a woman and 5 or more drinks for a man over a short period of time. This risky pattern of drinking contributes to over half of the 79,000 deaths due to alcohol each year and a range of health and social problems, including unintended pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, interpersonal violence, and death through car crashes. Most binge drinkers are adults who drink too much from time to time and are not alcohol dependent or alcoholics. Effective strategies to create an environment that discourages binge drinking include increasing alcohol taxes, reducing the number of places where people can purchase alcohol, and reducing the days and hours when alcohol is sold. Binge drinking is a clear health threat for the drinker and for society. Be responsible to your family, your community, and yourself. Don't binge drink.
Boom! Pew, pew, pew! Uncle Bill can't afford nifty sound effects. So he's getting this. The Uncle Bill Morning Show on BNNS Radio.
Thank you. All right. Slow down. That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate the applause. There was a great segment there on that fundraiser. Be sure you go out there. If you're in the Belvedere, Boone County area this Saturday night, you haven't got anything to do, get on over to the United Methodist Church and support those guys. Speaking of support, you need to get over to 301 West Locust Street and support our sponsors. Hey, our sponsors, Tom over Belvedere Auto Clinic, 301 West Locust Street, and he's got Mike there. And look, these guys do great job work over there. In fact, I'm heading over there right after the show today because I got some car work to have done, and there's only one place I will take my car. And that is over to Tom, because I know when that car comes out of the shop, it's going to be better than when I took it in there. It's not going to come out scratched up. It's not going to come out dirty. It's not going to come out with bad brake. It's going to come out fixed. And it's not going to cost me a leg and an arm and a leg, or a foot and a head. I don't know. It's just going to happen. In fact, I might even get a free cup of coffee. No, I have to pay for my coffee down there. I'm sorry. Sometimes I buy, though, and the other guys join in. We have coffee down there. So, hey, Tom's always got the coffee pot on. If you don't like coffee, well, ask for a glass of water. He'll give you that, too. That's Tom over there at Belvedere Auto Clinic. If you want to be a supporter of this show, you can, too. All you have to do is contact us. Either leave us a message on our call-in line at 815-544-2967, or send us an email to bnnsradio@gmail.com and leave us some contact information, and we'll call you and let you know how easy and how cheap it is to sponsor and support BNNS Radio. We are not big, money-hungry, grabbing, want all your money type guys. We just need money to keep this thing rolling, and if we can just cover our expenses, that's all we care about. We're not a profit-making organization, not by a long shot. We do this out of our love for God and our country and you, our audience, and that's why we do this. Especially those people that stay in the chat box: Perry, Diane, Elizabeth, who's doing bark, 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 Chick-fil-A this morning, and Bruce, of course, is in the chat box listening this morning as well, and Peggy. So, anyway, Peggy, get that bread made. Won't be long now. Anyway, again, I want to give a shout out. Thanks to Bruce for coming on and sharing that information with us. And y'all got to plan on getting on over there. And Big D, I'm sure if you were in town, you'd go to that concert, wouldn't you?
In a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
In a heartbeat.
Well,
You have a text message.
I don't care. Anyway, Yeah, I wish I was able to. I might even be able to make that concert. Never know. Might be able to swing things and be able to get in on that concert. I'd love to hear her music, and hopefully we'll get that email from Bruce and be able to play a song before we leave today. Liberals are passing a bill. The Liberals are up to it again, and they're passing a bill to change. Now, how many of you people have heard of the Asian carp?
Oh, they're big here.
They're big, and they're destructive. They're a bad fish. And you can do one thing. You can kill as many Asian carp as you can catch. And nobody's going to, well, PETA might feel bad about it because, after all, they are a living creature, correct? But they're destructive. They are destroying. If they get into the Great Lakes, like there's a fear of them getting into the Great Lakes, they're going to do some major damage.
Well, now, let me ask a question here, Bill. What damage are they doing? Because we've had them in lakes here in Georgia for years, and our lakes are thriving.
Well, apparently they're, and again, before I did this story, I did not, all I know is that ever since somebody brought over the Asian carp, they have been destroying lakes. I don't know exactly. Craig might be able to look that up real quick and see.
I do know. I do know what they do.
Share that, please.
They will go into a lake and rivers, and they will destroy the habitat that fish use to lay their eggs. They go in and just destroy it.
So it's a long-term thing. They destroy the habitat for new little squiggly minnows, and big fish eat the little minnows. So therefore, eventually, a lake will dry up with fish.
Well, Dee, you may not have the problem, and I haven't looked this part up, but you may not have as big of an issue down there because your growing season is much longer than it is here. That's why the bass down there are larger than what we have here. I know that we have them. I had my boat. I bought a new boat in 2003 and rode it and used it until 2006 when I got into motorcycles again. So I know it was around 2003, 2004, or whatever. I had my boat in the Missouri River, right behind Offutt Air Force Base in Bellevue, and we were fishing right about where the Platte River dumps into Missouri, and I saw fish swirling around my the gas motor on my boat, and I thought it was funny, and I suspected it was Asian carp. When I went to work, I talked to a buddy who fishes the river all the time, and he says that yes, they're Asian carp, and they're very, very thick down there. And I saw in the newspaper probably a year after that Asian carp were caught up by Gavin's Point Dam, up by I can't think of the town that it's by up there. Bill, you probably know Gavin's Point.
Yeah, I know where Gavin's Point Dam is, but I can't tell you what city it's by.
It's right on the Lewis and Clark Lake. It's a dam. It's an electric dam. I can't think. It's just on the northern east part of Nebraska on the South Dakota side. So they have gone up that far. These are a serious thing. This gentleman that I talked to, well, he's not a gentleman, this redneck that I work with, him and his buddies have gone out on the river. These fish will jump in the air. There's water skiers that have been seriously injured. I wouldn't doubt if some have been killed by these things coming out of the water. They'll come out of the water 6-8 feet in the air. The noise from the motors make them do this. And anyway, this buddy has gone down there, and they'll run the boat up and down the river, and when these fish jump out of the water, they'll pop them with their 12 gauges. And that's how they spend the afternoon, is just shooting Asian carp. They're that thick. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it is, but that, you know, and I agree, and I appreciate all that information, but that is not really the purpose of bringing this article up, albeit it is a major problem, and major most natural resources departments of natural resources want to get rid of these Asian carp and these other carp. There's several names in this article. Some that I never even knew were around, but the reason that I brought this up is because it's just another liberal story. It's just another one of those stories where racism is coming into play with our fish now. Did you know that fish are racist? Because it's offensive now to name these fish Asian carp. Because banning the names is all the rage with liberals these days, and I thought it would remind you of this little gem from a couple months ago, and this message came out of Breitbart. The Minnesota Senate approved John Hoffman's bill to change the name Asian carp, so-called, because the species originated from Asia. And his bill is to change the name to invasive carp. Since Asian carp are introduced in the U.S. in the 1970s, the fish has spread to dozens of states, causing destruction in the delicate ecosystems of the waterways. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have been fighting off the most invasive species, like the black carp from China and the silver carp from Vietnam. Now, the black and silver, I've never heard of. I admit, I've never heard of it. But we can no longer, now see, they're changing the name of the Asian carp to invasive carp, but they're not touching black carp. Oh my God, that's racist, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can infer that what you're saying is that black people are bottom feeding scumsuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if they're calling these invasive, how long before that is offensive? I think they should start calling them undocumented carp.
Undocumented carp. I like that.
Uh-oh.
Oh, now we're going to have a wall across these dams so that the fishies can't get, no, don't get me wrong. I really believe that we need to control this. If they're killing out the ecosystems of our lakes and our waters, and they're preventing the freshwater fish and the good fishing habitats, we need to get rid of them. We need to do everything we can to get rid of them. Shock the lake, get them out of there, and do whatever it takes to get rid of these damaging fish. But come on, do we seriously need a bill to change the name? Do we really need legislation for that?
That is as pure a political move as anything I've seen in a long time.
I mean, I read that article. Oh, well, what's next? All right, Craig, you want to change it from invasive carp to what'd you say it was?
Undocumented.
Undocumented carp. What are you going to do for the black bear? What are we going to call the black bear? That's racist. That's definitely got to be racist.
Or the black carp.
Or the black carp.
What about the black squirrels?
What about the Siberian tiger? What about the, gosh, it slipped my mind. Oh, I had it. What's that flu that goes around? I want to say Asian flu.
That's what I'm thinking.
The Asian flu.
Huh?
The Asian flu.
Is that what it was? Okay, it didn't sound. Anyway, okay. Now we got to change the name from Asian flu. And isn't there some other viruses? What about the Lyme disease? That's offensive to all of our lime croppers.
What is a lime cropper?
Wait a
grow
minute.
limes.
Guys, this already started years ago. We've talked about this before, Bill. Remember Jesse Jackson tried to stir all this up.
Well, maybe Jesse's out there working again.
Where is this going to go? I'm with you on this. Remember, why do baseballs have to be white?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Why is it called a devil's food cake? Why are they known as black holes?
Wait a minute. You just hit on something. We've all been wondering why Satan has been attacking our country so much. He's just ticked off. They name a cake after him. I would be ticked off too.
What did you name? I wish they'd make a Big D cake.
We don't have ovens big enough for that.
Oh, here we go with the fat jokes.
You know, some of these politicians that do this kind of stuff, they ought to be called on it. They've got too much time on their hands, or are they doing this stuff so that they don't have to deal with the important stuff?
Hey, I've got an idea. Do what we did. Put alligator gar in your lake. They eat carp.
Not the Asian carp.
No, that's because we know kung fu.
We've got alligator carp, or alligator, which you just call gar. We've got alligator gar here.
You want to talk about an invasive species? Gar is one. That's the freshwater barracuda.
They are frustrating. If you're fishing and they're around, they are so frustrating. They're very, very, very difficult to catch.
Oh,
well, we used to catch them, and we'd stick a stick in their mouth and put them back in the water.
Yep, that's what Dad taught me.
And then they would drown, and then that fed the turtles.
Yep.
But I mean, this bill. You are absolutely correct, Bill. This bill is nothing. Will serve no purpose. And my first question to this lawmaker is: do we not have more pressing problems than the name of a fish? Because the scientific community is still going to call it Asian carp. And I want him to produce 5 Asian people who are offended by this.
Well, now here is now I can tell you there are groups that are offended by this because now I'm not saying the Asian carp because what's a regular carp called?
A carp.
A carp. Now we have regular carp, we have buffalo carp, we have drumhead. Those are all carp species. And some people like to eat them. Now, I don't know if an Asian carp is edible or not. Never seen one. Never caught one that I'm aware of. I don't do carp fishing. I'm a bass man. But I said bass man, Big D, just to clarify that. And anyway, every year the Coon Creek Casters, which is a local fishing club here in Belvedere, they have a carpathon. And the idea is to catch the biggest carp that you can catch and bring it in, and you might win a prize. I think the largest one that I have ever seen at the carpathon, I think it was a couple years ago, was almost 27 pounds. You talk about a big fish. Now, we used to see a lot of sport fishermen in this area feel that the carp is just a dirty, and nobody eats them because they're usually a river fish. And because they have a muddy taste, nobody likes to eat them. So we used to just give them away to people that wanted them, and sometimes they just throw them up on the bank, whatever, or throw them up in the back of a truck, and we disposed of them properly, but we did not put them back in the water. Well, a lot of them are dead when they come in anyway because people have held on to them for a long time out of fresh water. But anyway, my point is this. One year we had some people from Chicago contacted me via email on how to get tickets for the Carpathon. They wanted to come out here and fish the Carpathon. And I was able to arrange for them to get tickets through my PayPal account and so on and so forth, because we don't take and sell tickets over the line, over the internet. But they came out, and when they saw what we did to carp, they were ticked, because they actually belong to a carp club in Chicago, the Chicago region. And their game fish, or their purpose, was strictly carp fishing. And carp is a delicacy. Is a carp to a Frenchman is the same as a bass is to an American fisherman.
Well, I was going to say, this member of Congress, here's a way to get rid of an invasive species. Why is it such a big secret that people raise and ship tens of thousands of pounds of carp over to Thailand, Japan, China, these areas? They love this fish.
Yes.
They know how to cook it. They know how to clean it, cook it. And they love carp.
I love carp.
And yet all we want to do is change its name. Okay, we're going to change its name, and that's going to make it quit being invasive.
Well, even calling it invasive, to me, is more offensive than Asian.
I mean, it's an animal. It is doing what it has been put on this earth for.
Can we call the illegal aliens, can we start calling them invasive?
Yeah, why can't we? I mean, if we can call a fish invasive, isn't some of the illegal aliens invasive into our society, destroying our ecosystem and blah, blah, blah? Destroying our economy, destroying our projects and blah, blah, blah.
They are detrimental.
But
you could take this almost anywhere you want. And I agree with Dee. This guy's got to get a job. He's got to get more. He's got way too much time on his hands. And it's strictly a political move. Apparently he lives in a Asian neighborhood, or where there's a large Asian population, and he's trying to win their vote. It's got to be.
Yeah, but I'm serious. I want to meet the Asian people that started this, that wrote him and said, "Oh, we're offended by this."
Oh, probably PETA. Come on.
I mean,
they're all right. Like the article said, where are we going to stop with this? Are we going to now start after we successfully get the name of the Asian carp to an invasive carp? Now we're going to go after the black bear. What about the brown bear? Doesn't that offend some brown-skinned people? And the Siberian tiger, or the African elephant.
Tasmania devil.
Huh?
Tasmanian devil.
Tasmania. Where does it stop?
Yeah. Well, here's another one for you, Uncle Bill. The USC Trojans, their mascot's a horse, right?
Yeah.
Its name is Traveler. There's a big uproar now over that horse. And it's named Traveler. And here's why. Robert E. Lee had a horse, and it was white. Guess what its name was?
Traveler.
Yeah.
What about Trigger. Should we get rid of Gene Autry's horse?
Yeah, he's going to have to unstuff it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to have to unstuff that sucker. No, that was Roy Rogers. That was Trigger, not Gene Autry. Gene Autry's horse, what was his name? I know.
Roy Rogers was Trigger.
Yeah, and he stuffed that one.
Yeah, he stuffed it.
Gene Autry's horse was named what? Come on, Craig. You know it. Perry's got it already.
I don't know.
No, that was before my time.
Champion. I had it. I knew it. It was as soon as I said it, I knew it. Gene Autry was not Trigger. It was Champion. And but anyway, this is just getting way beyond. It used to be funny, but it's gone way beyond that now to absolutely asinine, ridiculous.
Well, the media is giving these idiots. They're giving them attention. They're validating this garbage.
Exactly.
The media is.
You're absolutely right. And again, it all comes down to media coverage. And we've probably done our share this morning of bringing it, to light. Moving on, ABC reporter in Houston shamed as a snitch for looting tweet. Did you guys catch this story?
I read that link that you sent me this morning.
An ABC reporter has been roundly lambasted online after reporting some events that he witnessed in an unfortunate order Tuesday morning down in Houston. Tom Lamas was tweeting live from Houston describing what he saw in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. Here's what he tweeted. We are witnessing looting. Get this? Let me repeat that. We are witnessing looting right now at a large supermarket in the northeast part of Houston, and police have just discovered a body nearby. Now, not so bad upon first look, right? Now, here are the things that people have had a problem with. First, there was a since deleted tweet from Lamas saying that he and his ABC team had informed police of the looting and that the Coast Guard was now flying overhead as a preventative nature. And Tom Lamas, let me be clear. Let me clear this up, he said, because apparently there has been a lot of tweets about this. Let me clear this up. We are with the police who had discovered a dead body and mentioned that we had seen people with their faces covered going into the supermarkets nearby. And somebody else tweeted back, "You're not very good at backpedaling, you snitch. People are starving in a disaster and you're going to run to the cops? Go get the pineapple." Secondly, the order of tweet makes it appear that Lamas was more concerned with the looting than the discovery of a dead body, which may have been someone killed in the hurricane or resulting floods. And another tweeter said, "So, in your breaking announcement, hungry folks looting food, aka survival, takes precedence over the discovery of a body." In other words, says, your privilege is showing, sir. Where is your empathy? Did you stop anyone to ask why? It's one thing if they were taking stuff from Best Buy.
That's the one I absolutely loved.
You see, looting is looting. If you are taking somebody else's property that does not belong to you, since when does the law or any...
You have a text message.
Why does the law or anything or anybody else permit looting as a okay thing. Okay, you know, and this brings up another interesting comment that I would like to make, is that there is a story going around about the mega church of Joel Osteen and refusing to open his church to survivors of, people of the hurricane, when in fact they did open the doors. In fact, if you saw the video on the news, there were mounds and mounds and piles and stacks of goods for people to come and take. I mean, people are coming out of the woodwork to get supplies to the people in Houston area. Same thing they did in Louisiana. Same thing that they did in New Orleans, and so on and so forth. And people come out of the woodwork. In fact, if I remember correctly, in the New Orleans flooding, they put out a memo that they did not want anything more because they were so overloaded they had no place to put it. And so, I mean, which is a good thing because it shows the sympathies and the willingness to help people in the time of need. So why does somebody have to go in and loot somebody else's property to survive? Go to the local church. Go to the
comments on that story, Bill. Did you read the comments below?
Which one?
Of that story you're talking about the looting. The comment section down below, there was people that said they were looting. They were probably starving. That's why they were looting. And one of the responses was, well, they knew this was coming. This is not like a tornado that suddenly gets you. You knew this hurricane was coming. Well, most people, when they know a storm's coming, like here in the Midwest, if we know it's going to get a lot of snow, we head to the grocery store and we stock up because we know we won't be leaving our house for a while. So I don't buy this bit that, yeah, they were probably starving.
What troubles me, Craig, is I agree with you 100%. And they did strip store shelves. And I'm sure that some people went to their local markets to get water, to get supplies, but they were gone. Hang on, guys.
You know, the sad part is that in any given area, and I'm not trying to make excuses, Craig, but there are just people, they can't afford to leave.
Well, here's the part that bothers me, D. And I apologize for all these phone calls, folks. I mean, I got so much going on here that my next show at 10 o'clock is not going to be able to air. So I've just got so many things going on here. I apologize for the interruptions. But here's the thing that really, 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 really bothers me is the fact that if you're hungry and you are in need of supplies, why would you put a mask on? Why do you have to cover your face? Because if you're hungry, I don't know of a person out there that would probably arrest you if you were that desperate that you needed to go in and try to get some supplies. They would either help you get to a place for supplies or they would allow you to take what was just necessary. But to hide your face is telling me that you know you're doing wrong and you don't want to get caught. And to me, it's no different than going into a bank with your face covered. You know you're up to something that's illegal.
Now, to me, And to a certain extent, I think people were wrong for berating this reporter. But I'm like you. If they had their faces covered, yeah, let the cops go check it out. It might have been something as simple as people truly believe that, yeah, I've got to feed my kids. We're stuck here for whatever reason. But if the cops see me, they're going to tote me off. And I truly do not believe that if you took food and you were giving it to your kids, to other people, and the cops caught you doing it, I don't think there's a cop down there right now that would do anything other than help you carry it home.
D, that's where you and I disagree. I personally think that looters should be shot.
Well, it's like...
If you don't have food for your kids, it's your fault. In this day and age, there's plenty of charities out there. If you knew this hurricane was coming, and if you stayed there with your kids, you were a lunatic. And if you stayed there with your kids with no food and water, you are a lunatic and shouldn't have those kids. Well, but if you go steal, I think you should be shot.
Well, first of all, some people will defend these people and say, well, maybe they were going in for medical supplies. Maybe they were going in for necessary things because somebody was injured or whatever. Somebody will defend them. But if that be the case, why do you have to cover your face? And the sole line, and again, I agree with Dee, they should not be berating this reporter. And but if you're legitimately in dire need of medical supplies or food or something because you got baby, then maybe if you could simply scarf a gallon of milk out of the cooler to feed your baby, there's not a person in the world that would do anything to you. But when you cover your face, that means you're up to more than it. And what is the difference between taking a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk out of a grocery store versus taking a TV out of Best Buy? Because after all, you may want to just go set up that TV someplace and keep up on the news.
Well, here's the thing. Right now, you can set that TV up, but you're probably not going to be able to watch the news. And
that was a, come on.
I know what it was.
It was a parody.
But what I was saying is when New Orleans, when they finally got in and water dropped and they were able to actually get into New Orleans, they found garages full of TVs, DVRs, DVD players that people had looted.
Exactly.
And
I'm sorry, guys. I absolutely have no patience at all, no sympathy at all for thieves. There's absolutely no reason to steal. If you don't have food, there's plenty of people out there with food. I don't have any food for my kids. They're going to share their food with you.
You're living in a dream world, boss. I hate to tell you.
No, see, wait a minute. Craig, I don't want you to get the idea that we're not disagreeing with you, or we're, because I don't have any tolerance for people that steal either. I'm not saying that that it's okay, because I agree with you 100% that there are enough relief agencies out there. There's enough relief areas where you can get legitimate help. Walk up to a policeman. Walk up to a rescuer. Walk up to somebody of authority that is out there rescuing people and say, hey, I've got a 5-year-old or I got a 2-month-old child. I need to get some milk into them or this, that, and the other. I guarantee you they're going to go get you a gallon of milk, or they're going to get you to a place where you can get help. But my point is these people that get on and make these comments like you pointed to, Craig, that is just absolutely ludicrous. That you're putting more precedence on looting over a dead body? Come on. And this goes back to what Dee said yesterday about I lost my train of thought. I go on because I lost my train of thought of what I was trying to get. I'm getting so hyped up here.
I hate when you're going to Chicago and the train suddenly heads towards St. Louis, don't you?
I just don't have any patience at all, no sympathy at all for a thief. It just galls me to anything else. There's people that say that if someone breaks into your house and they're stealing, you have no right to shoot them. It's just belongings. Call the cops. Nonsense. You come into my house, I'm popping you.
Well, there's a big difference to me, Craig, between somebody just breaking into my house because they want my stuff and people sludging their way through this mess and make it to the local little store and they find some food. They haven't seen help for days. And so they do what they have to survive. Now, you don't need a TV. You don't need a VCR. You don't need any of that crap. That, to me, is looting, and they should be shot and left to float in the water. But at this point, food and water are primary. It's survival. And, you know, under normal circumstances, walking into a store, taking stuff off the shelf, the store owner may not be there. Who are you going to pay?
I just don't buy it. There's plenty of sources out there that are
but what I'm saying
that are helping these people. The Bible doesn't say thou shalt not steal unless you're hungry, then it's okay.
But my point is though, Craig, is we're still hearing about people finally getting back into areas where they haven't been able to get to. Just today. Some of these people, since this hurricane hit, probably haven't seen a cop or anything. And trust me, I've seen video. They're getting in boats and getting the hell out as fast as they can. Why they stayed, for whatever reason. I mean, if I know a storm like that is about to hit here, I'm gone. I'm like you, Craig. I'm out of here. And when these floodwaters hit, there's no telling how much crap they lost. Without electricity, there's no telling how much food and freezers and refrigerators went bad. And, you know, unfortunately, not everybody keeps a stocked pantry like I do. But, like I said, the food part, the medicine part, or, you know, bandages and things like that, store owner's not anywhere around to pay, so get it. You know, I would take care of it later. But
the one thing I want you guys to do, and I don't want any of us here to become judgmental, because neither one of us three have ever experienced what the people in New Orleans experience, what the people in Houston are experiencing right now. And when you really, really, really get desperate, you don't know right now what you would do if you really, really got desperate and you were stranded and you were unable to get to a help center. Yes, I know that every one of us right now, everybody in the chat box that's listening right now, and the three of us would go to a help center to get the necessary help that we needed and so on and so forth. We would do our utmost to get away from the dangers and get to a help center, to a relocation center where there is help, food, and all that kind of stuff. But if you were really, really desperate and you had small children, what would you do? But I do know this. If you ever faced that situation and you felt like you had to go in, like Dee said, if you had to go in and get something and then go back later and make it up, if you had to make it up later, then we would do that. We would go back and make it up. But the part that bothers me the most is that these people are covering their faces.
That's the part I don't like.
And I think those types of people should be dealt with severely.
And because usually that's going to be the people who are trying to scarf it up and rat hole it, and then it's going to cost you out the wazoo to get any of it. And that, to me, is even worse than the looting.
Yeah.
And
all right.
Okay, I'm just going to say this in closing, Bill. If I were in a situation like that where I was stuck and my kids were hungry, short of killing somebody else for their stuff, I'm going to do what it takes to get it. You know, I'm going to do what it takes to survive. Then after it's all said and done, I'll walk up, tell the cops what I did, and if I have to, I'll stand in front of a jury of my peers. You know?
Okay. And I do appreciate that. And I appreciate Craig's intolerance, because there is a time and a place for that as well. And the fact that they're wearing masks, I have to agree with Craig to a degree on that. But I also agree with Dee that if you're desperate and it's a matter of life or death, I too would do it and face a judge and a jury of my peers as Dee would. So either way, but I definitely wouldn't cover my face. I would just simply go in the way I am now and do it. A college professor said over the weekend that the devastation wreaked upon Texas by Hurricane Harvey, now get this, feels kind of like instant karma for the state of Texas because it traditionally votes Republican. Now you talk about asinine statements. This dude that wants to change the name of a fish, what is wrong with our government people? Are these people lunatics that they just let out of the sanitarium, for crying out loud? I mean, they come. Houston and Texas is being devastated by a climatic occurrence because they vote Republican. What have we now got a bipartisan? Do we have a partisan God now, or do we have a partisan Mother Nature who's going to start taking political sides now?
Okay, here's what we do, Bill. Write his name down, and let's keep it. And let's write that statement down. And God help him if California has an earthquake and falls off into the ocean.
Well, let's see.
That's how asinine that. What's he going to say then?
Ken Story, visiting assistant professor of sociology at the University of Tampa in Florida, tweeted Sunday, according to Campus Reform. He said, I don't believe in instant karma, but this kind of feels like it for Texas. Hopefully this will help them realize the GOP doesn't care about them. One Twitter user later replied to Story saying, lots of good people in Texas, Ken, may want to rethink this one. According to a screenshot published by Campus Reform, Story doubled down, insisting the people of Texas need to do more to stop the evil their state pushes. I'm only blaming those who support the GOP there. Come on. This is absolutely out of... And then, again, I want to go on just one step further. What about the mayor of Houston who literally told the people of Houston disregard all hurricane warnings.
You know, that man needs to be real worried right about now.
He should be lynched.
Well, if he doesn't face charges, I'd be real surprised.
He said it would be a hazard to put that many vehicles on the road with a mass evacuation. Therefore, he told them to disregard the hurricane warnings, that it was not going to be as severe as they speculate. When did this man get his meteorological degree?
Yeah, I heard about that, and I could not believe it.
My jaw hit the ground when I heard that. And when I read that story, I thought, are you flipping kidding me?
Aren't they like Florida? Don't they have signs along the road saying evacuation route?
Yeah. Now, granted, they haven't had a hurricane down there for, or like, what, I think the last time they got a hurricane was 12 or 16 years ago. And, well, they made up for it this time, but you got a stupid ass. Do you think this guy will get reelected?
If he is, it'll only be by the grace of God.
It won't be by votes, I'll tell you that.
I do not see this man being reelected. Somebody's gonna bring that up.
I got a feeling. I don't know what his term is, but I would almost kind of question whether or not he's even going to finish his term.
Well, yeah, because and right now they've got bigger fish to worry about. But you let things start straightening out and the water levels come down in Houston.
What if somebody files charges against the mayor for murder?
Ooh.
35 people have died in this storm so far. I think that was the last number I read. And why can't we charge him with murder when he told people not to leave my town?
Yeah, that may explain why they've got people stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, I've read reports where some people didn't leave because they were afraid if they left, everything was going to get stolen.
Well, that goes back to our earlier story, because there are people that will take advantage of it. And if you've got a nice house, they're going to go in and rifle your jewelry. They're going to rifle your possessions. Let's face it. We have people with absolutely no soul whatsoever.
That is something that did not occur to me, that they would, if you left your house because the storm's coming, that they would come in and loot your house. I know for a fact they would.
See, that amazes me because we've done stories where they have gone and said, it's illegal to stay. You have to leave. They put out warnings. What was it? Some people didn't want to leave an island out on the coast. And they told them, okay, all the emergency services are leaving. You're on your own. But I don't think we've ever had a mayor say, oh, disregard. It's not going to be as bad as they say it is. When the news was telling you how bad this was going to get. If you only believed half of what the news was saying, it was time to evacuate. Bill, I'm like you. I do not understand. We've made the comment here on the show. I know I have, and I think you have, of how cheap life is getting in the past 7, 8, 10 years.
Yep. Well, listen, guys, I hate to break this off, and please, and I just want to inform the listeners that like to stick around, listen to Focus on Mental Health. Scott will not be in live today. He's got affected with strep throat, and so he's not going to be able to talk today. So we're going to do a rerun on focused on mental health immediately following. So guys, don't hang up Skype as soon as we're done here. We'll finish conversation. We'll do our post show as normal. But I just want to end the show by bringing again the announcement of the fundraiser that's coming up this Saturday at the First United Methodist Church here in Belvedere, 610 Bonus Avenue. And the doors open at 6 p.m. with the show beginning at 7 p.m. $10 per ticket. It's never going to get any better than this. Bruce Boulder and Jessica Alisari will be performing and raising funds for your youth Appalachia trip. And that being said, please, if you're in the area and you want something to do on Saturday night, get out there and support this worthy cause, and so our young people can learn. And as we close out the show today, this is Jessica Alisari and her music, I'll Let You Go. God bless you. God bless America. God loves you. This is our Friday. We'll be back again Monday with more interesting stories here on BNNS Radio. God bless you. God bless America. God loves you, always has and always will. Don't ever forget that. I'm your host, Uncle Bill, or Bill Vallant, also known as Uncle Bill of BNNS Radio, where you can get real-time answers to all your questions worldwide. God bless you. Big D.
All right, this has been another 2 hours of the morning show with Uncle Bill. That's right, the guy who's got the answers if you only ask. And me, your co-host Big D, and Craig, our crack research specialist. Y'all take care. We'll be off next week, but a week from Monday, we will see you again. Talk to y'all later. Remember, God loves you, so do we. Bye-bye.
My baby always will be. I hope you know my love stays when you go. Some years down the long, long road, if you need help with your load, I'll always be here for you. You know, nothing takes away my love, and it shows. Yeah, nothing takes away my love when I let you go. 'Cause you're my baby, always will be. I hope you know my love stays when you go. You're my baby, always will be. I hope you know my love stays when you go. I let my baby, I let always will be. You're my baby, always will.
Is there anything we won't do? Well, yeah, we won't hide the truth. We tell it like it is. You can say you heard it on BNNS Radio and they'll be impressed. That's BNNSradio.com. The best of the best on the internet. BNNSradio.com. Stay tuned to BNNS Radio for more great shows like Cop Disclosure, The Morning Show with Uncle Bill, Focused on Mental Health, and the ever-popular Belvedere Sports Huddle and Belvedere City Council. All here on BNNSradio.com and 87.9 on the FM dial. BNNS Radio. Radio of the future.